to the Arsenal Show. We are live and we're at the halfway point of the season. So, of course, it's time for the season review so far. It's all been good. There's no bad points. I mean, there was the blip that we had against Manchester United, even though we played better than them. The minor blip against PSV, and in the same week, the same blip against Southampton. But if that's all we're talking about as down points in the season, it's been an absolutely exceptional season so far. I'm joined by Steve, Kay, and Jerome Marks. How you doing, boys?
Yeah, how you doing, mate? Good. Very good.
Good.
Yeah, fine, thanks.
All right, that's good to hear. All right, let's get straight into it. Season so far. All right, Steve. Let's start with what was your initial season prediction? Where did you have Arsenal come at the start of the season?
It's so difficult to answer that question now, isn't it? When I look back and I think to myself, I just kept saying I wanted to see improvement, but where we are now, sitting at the top of the league, I find that quite amazing that I come up with that answer. But at the beginning of the season, I would have liked to have possibly got into the Champions League. I felt the players that we brought in, I felt that we could do that. We could push. I felt that even if we didn't make Champions League, as long as I see some good football and improvement, I wouldn't have minded too much. But that train of thought seems so long ago now from where my mind is at this moment in time. It's absolutely crazy because we're sitting top of the tree. We're sitting 5 points clear. But at the beginning of the season, I would have been happy just to have a good season, play better than we did last season, hopefully get Champions League. But if we never maybe win a cup, that was my initial thoughts.
So did you have a league position?
Sorry?
Did you have a league position?
League position, I probably would have said at the beginning of the season, fourth. I think that was my prediction at the beginning of the season anyway. I always thought at the beginning of the season, I remember the first show that we did, and I think I said that I didn't like the look of Chelsea.
Yeah.
I didn't like the look of Tottenham, and I also felt that Liverpool were aging in the midfield, and I wasn't too sure about Darwin Núñez. Yes, Darwin Núñez is starting to, get used to the Premier League now, and he looks a decent player, and he looks like he will be a good player, probably back of this season into next one. But I think I even asked the question: do you think we could get second? But deep down, I thought fourth. I would have been over the moon with a fourth. I would have grabbed your hand off there and then.
100%. Jerome, what was your early season expectations before the season started?
Yeah, so I think in looking back, I think I probably would have predicted either fourth or fifth. I think that in my mind, at the beginning of the season, I had Man City and Liverpool basically as untouchables for number 1 and 2. I couldn't see any way we were going to or would finish above those two come the end of the season. So really, we were aiming for one of the other places, whether that be sort of third or fourth. And I thought that we would improve from last season, where we finished fifth. So I think maybe fourth, where I sort of predicted us to finish, and I'd have been like Steve, absolutely delighted if that's where we end up. Obviously now maybe look at things a bit differently, but fourth. I think fourth would have been very good if we could finish in the Champions League places.
Yeah, and how different is that? How different is that from then until now, Steve? The turnaround from not even the turnaround, the progression from last season, and it's to be fair, yes, there's been two main additions to the squad, three, that have made that change. But what a turnaround this team's been from last season.
It's just night and day, just night and day. So many different aspects that you can put into the reasons why there's, we've obviously got to start off with, Mikel Arteta and what he's done. I think most of us on this, especially on this show, we all sort of had the trust in what he would do. And I think he's done that and some incredibly. He brought in some players last season, which was scoffed at. And now they're being talked about as some of the best players in their position in the league. When they was, the goalkeeper was getting scoffed at, Ben White was getting scoffed at, and other players that we brought in. But they all come in. They're even better now. Established internationals. There was the thing about Saliba. Should we sell him? Should he stay? Should he go? All what was going on there. We had the problems with Aubameyang and so on and so forth. There was such a difference. Like I said, it was night and day. The fans were just on our backs, left, right, and so it was so toxic. It's toxic to the degree where I was falling out of love with the football and falling out of love. The change is just night and day. The turnaround is incredible. The players that he's brought in, the winners, were just master strokes from Arteta. We're bringing in Gabriel Jesus, bringing in Subchenko. Our younger players have just not only just got better, they've just lifted now to another level. And even players like Granit Xhaka, who we all thought was just a sort of mundane defensive midfield player, has turned into something that none of us, foreseen. Thomas Partey, who a lot of us were a little bit worried on, he's going down with injuries, was worried whether he's ever going to get suited to this league. I mean, look at him now. He's just incredible, and so important for Arsenal Football Club. And then you've got obviously the player like Gabriel Jesus, which we've been missing for years, who's just a godsend and a title winner. And he's just bringing that mentality into the club. And it's going right down to the kids. We're seeing Reece Nelson. We're seeing him do well. We're seeing Eddie Nketiah being a different player. Just night and day. You could go on and on and on and on and on. And the actual camaraderie with the fans and the players is just beautiful, isn't it? Beautiful to see. It's fantastic. You went to a game this season, Kieran. I don't know where you found it, but we can tell from off the telly, watching it on the telly, how special that the Emirates is becoming. So unbelievable, mate. Just excited for Boxing Day. I just want the next day to come around, next game to come.
Yeah, it's not coming quick enough. Jerome, a massive turnaround from last season, the season before, 2 seasons ago, we were coming 8th, back to back. Last season, 5th, tailed off towards the end, but we could see the progression. But did you envisage seeing Arsenal top of the league halfway through the season?
No chance. Absolutely no chance. Like I said, I thought Liverpool and Man City would just miles ahead of us. So yeah, it's really surprising. I think what's surprising me the most is the quality of these performances. Like, even when we've been winning games the last few years, sometimes the performances haven't been great. Maybe we've scraped performances or, nicked a goal and then hung on for the last 20, 30 minutes. We did that quite a lot last season. And we've done it a couple of times this season. But overall, the majority of the time, I'm watching games and I'm thinking, after 20 minutes, I'm bloody enjoying this. No matter what the result is, this team are playing some quality football. And we're doing it for long periods of time. And that's been the main difference. I didn't expect that we'd be first at this stage of the season. But on the same line, I also didn't expect us to be playing the football we're playing. It's really enjoyable to watch our games. It's exciting. It's actually exciting to watch 90 minutes now.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And Steve, something you touched on earlier, the fan base. I think you mentioned it before, even when you was going down when it was the Invincibles. I think you mentioned it as well, Jerome. That there's never been a time where the fan base has been so connected, one with the team, we've seen players score own goals and get bigger cheers than the team that scored the goal. The fan base has been like an extra player on the field, is it not, this season?
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely. I mean, it's something we've missed for a long while. I mean, we've got coated off by a lot of fans, saying about the atmosphere at Arsenal and how it's so quiet and how we don't get behind our team. And they ain't been far off, to be honest with you. As I said, like, you mentioned there about, going back into the Invincible days. I remember I went every game during, Wenger's reign while he was there, and, the atmosphere was good. I mean, Highbury was an incredible place and the tight pitch, and once when Arsenal were playing some great football, there was some incredible atmosphere, especially under the lights at Highbury. There was nothing better. And I mean, I'm yet to experience a home game this season. I had a chance to go, but unfortunately, due to things that I couldn't do, I couldn't go. But yeah, I mean, it's because it was so bad. It was really bad. We see on Twitter and on all the social media websites, fans arguing. There was fans, having a fighting in the crowds, split opinions on Aubameyang, on Xhaka, on Arteta, on what we should do and what we shouldn't do, and it affects the players on the pitch. They're only human. When they know this is going on, and that it sort of. That goes down to the players on the pitch. They get nervous when they're on the ball, when it's an important game. When the fans get on their backs, that it's not good. It's not good for the side. And, you've already said there, we go a goal down. Some team scores a goal. It's loud that the crowd are all behind them. Come on, let's go again. Because they're capable of coming back and doing it. And they do. They don't disappoint, because there's many times this season when with a goal's been scored against us, and many times when in the next 15 minutes the crowd's got behind them and they've gone back and got a goal back. So it's fantastic. And yeah, I mean, 12th man. We've got the new anthem now, which is great. I mean, I love that. It's a good thing to add to the going forward. I mean, I think the documentary at the beginning of the season helped. That was like a camaraderie that brought the fans closer to the players as well, because they brought them closer to what they're really like, their personalities, their family lives, how they are, and I think they all come across well. But yeah, it's a massive part to the success of where we are now as the fans.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I totally agree. Jerome, how integral is the fan base been in the way Arsenal play at the moment, and how it lifts the players?
Yeah, definitely lifts the players. I think it's like Steve brought up the documentary, and I think it's so true that's had a big impact. I mean, when you watch like reality shows, people go in sometimes as like, just Joe Blogs from the street. Like when they go into Love Island, no one knows about them. Then all of a sudden they become these big popular stars just because of they're on TV for an hour for a few weeks. Yeah. So when you're watching your favourite team, your favourite players, you're watching them in like a documentary way. It's only going to make you like them more. So I think that's definitely helped. We don't really think about it that much, but like just common sense, like players are going to play better if they're confident. Like that's a fact. You can see it. It's just a fact of life. Like in any job, I think you perform better if you're confident. And when you've got 60,000 people cheering you on, giving you positive energy, it's gonna lift you. And I think the Arsenal fans have realised that we can actually have an influence. And 90% of it is down to the manager and the players. But I think there is definitely a percentage that gives teams the edge. It's like, Liverpool Champions League nights at Anfield. Like, why do people not like going there on those nights? Because of the crowd. Yeah. It's the same players, the same manager in the dugout, but because the effect the crowd has on the team, that's why people don't like going there. So it's massive, and it's great to see, and you can, even though I haven't been this season to a home game, you can hear it through the TV. You can hear a noticeable difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's brilliant.
No, I totally agree. All right, let's get on to the, well, not awards, but let's call them the awards. Starting off with the player of the season so far. There's been many top performers of the season so far. It could be one of any of this team. Some have performed a little bit better than the others, but yeah, there's plenty to choose from. Steve, we'll start with you. Who's your player of the season so far?
Right, okay. I'm still trying to get out of my head that Jerome watches Love Island, but I can't. But no, mate, you're right. Player of the season. Where'd you start? When we knew we was doing this show, and we got the itinerary for it, and we knew we was going to do the awards. It was like, wow, this is going to be really difficult. And player of the season is very hard. I mean, to pick just one is really hard. Just quickly, I know that Saliba was one, Partey, Xhaka, Martinelli. They were sort of, you could pick any of those really. Saliba's, could be anything. Partey, I've already said, I think he could be Arsenal's most important player. I mean, Xhaka's just turned the that has been outstanding, and Martinelli, I think this season's given people nightmares. But you could just go on. You could say something good about every single player. I feel bad leaving one out. But player of the season so far. Oh my word. Oh my word. I'm gonna go. You're probably gonna be shocked. But I'm gonna go for Martinelli.
Oh, huh.
With Xhaka, with Xhaka being a very, very close second.
Mm-hmm.
A very close second. Reason why I'm saying Martinelli, because I think he's lifted himself to the highest level from where he was last season to where he is now.
Yeah.
I think we was all wondering whether he could actually go on to this new level and whether he could be the player that he could be. We've always thought he's on the periphery. We've seen Jurgen Klopp say this guy's going to be the next big thing, the real deal. But we was all waiting for it as Arsenal fans. We was waiting. This season, this kid has came in and he has given right backs, defenders, absolute nightmares. You talk about watching clips back of his season so far. Oh my word! This kid, the assists, the big goals, continuously from minute 1 to minute 90, he does not stop. He hardly ever gets taken off. And his ceiling is just at the moment just sky high. It could be anything. Look, I mean, it was really close with Granit Xhaka, very, very close with Granit Xhaka. But I thought if I pick Granit Xhaka, they're going to say he's going to pick Granit Xhaka again. So there was a little bit of that there. But I'm going to go for Gabriel Martinelli.
All right, Steve, I think you got into your own head there.
Probably.
If you pick Granit Xhaka, he's been outstanding this season. There's no harm in picking Granit Xhaka. Jerome, who has been your player of the season so far?
Yeah, Martinelli's a great shout. You could probably name most of the 11, and it's hard to disagree. But I think for me, I'm going to go even a bit more sort of strange than Steve. I'm going to go Ben White. Now, Ben White.
Every player you can just
yeah. I'll tell you why I've chosen Ben White. The reason I've gone for him is because our system is very specific, and he's a massive important part of that build-up play. Playing next to a guy that's just come into the team, out of position. He's kept probably our player of the season for last season. Tomiyasu has not started a game at right back in the Premier League this season. And if you would say now to any Arsenal fan, who would you want to start right back the next game? I reckon most people would say Ben White. And if you would have said that at the beginning of the season or end of last season, you would have got total flip reverse the other answer. Maybe not even 1% would say, yeah, I'll have Ben White over Tomiyasu. Now I think it's totally changed. And I don't think we'll see him revert back to Tomiyasu at right back unless Ben White is injured. I think he's got his way into the England squad. I think Gareth Southgate, I know there's been an injury. I think reluctantly he's called him up. I don't think he probably fancied Ben White because he's not his type of right back, but he's called him up and he's been top draw from the first game of the season against Zaha away. He's been excellent. So, like I said, you could pick any one of the forwards, anyone in midfield, anyone in defence. But for what Ben White's done in terms of keeping Tomiyasu out of the team for every Premier League game, that's ridiculous. So I'll go for him.
Yeah. Again, another top player who's more than definitely justified in that reasoning as well. The fact that he's playing out of position his own, he's now gone to the World Cup. So many reasons why it could be Ben White. I mean, a list of people to choose from. Granit Xhaka has been absolutely outstanding this season. He's turned around, has been absolutely phenomenal. So he definitely gets a shout. Saliba, going from the French leagues to coming to the Premier League and having people talk about Saliba in the same breath they're talking about Van Dijk this season, like how he's been knocked off his perch. He's got a long way to go to get to those levels because it's about consistency as well, but he's outstanding. You just can't believe how good he has been. Odegaard, not only has he been more consistent, he's our top goal scorer, and he's had to have the captain's armband as well, which I'm sure he's had to get used to, giving instructions to the players. You got to go when you become captain from a player, so you've got to change your mentality. The players have got to get used to you being captain, so that's another weight on your shoulders. But my one is the man who I feel has had the most impact in this team this season, and that's Gabriel Jesus. 5 goals, 6 assists. Yes, people are mocking him because he's not scoring goals, but they're not watching him. The people that are laughing at Jesus, it's another week he's not scored a goal, they're not watching him play. And when he plays a game where he hasn't scored a goal and he might not have got assist, he's still been one of our best players. He's been outstanding in those games, dribbling around 4 or 5, dropping through balls. It might not be an assist, but it's the pass before the assist. So, I think he's been absolutely outstanding this season. He needs to get more goals. He definitely needs to get more goals. That is without doubt. Because if we're going to push for the league this season, he has to be hitting 15 to 20 goals this season. But with everything else he does to the team, the dynamic he's brought to this team, he's lifted other people and he's made other people up their game. That's why I've given it to Gabriel Jesus. But there's a couple of lads that are very, very behind there. Definitely Granit Xhaka was close. Saliba was close. Ben White was close. I agree with Jerome there. And obviously not quite up there with in terms of the consistent play because he's been out for a little while. But as Steve said earlier, Thomas Partey is massively integral to everything we're doing this season. He's sitting in deep, which is allowing people to push forward. His passing's got so much better. Throughout the team, everyone's up their game, which is key.
I think he's Arsenal's most important player, Kieran. I really do. I think Thomas Partey, if you had to pick who's your most important player at Arsenal, you would have to turn around and say it's Thomas Partey because you can always get away with something at Arsenal at the moment. If one of the, well, even if Gabriel Jesus is out, we can still score goals.
Mm.
You know, if a right back's out with Ben White, we can still replace him. You know, we can still place areas of the pitch. You know, maybe not as good, but Thomas Partey's out. We've got absolutely no. Even with Xhaka, you know, you can still, although you know you can bring Vieira in and he's not as good, but Thomas Partey is nothing. Absolutely nothing at all at the moment.
He's he's changed that completely. Before it was we need Partey, but it's not just we need Partey in these big games. He's making a massive difference in it as well. He's not just a body. He's not just breaking up the play. He's making a difference throughout the pitch, throughout the game. So I totally agree. So on to the next one. Steve, start with you again. What do you think has been our best performance so far this season?
Best performance so far. Well, again, there's been some great. There's been a hell of a bit. There's been a lot of good performances. You know, there's been, you know, the Tottenham at home, which was 3, you know, the 3-1. There was the Chelsea away, which was 1-0, which, you know, a big performance for Arsenal that day. It sort of, you know, won a lot of people over who was doubting us. But for me, there's only one, and that was the Arsenal game at the Emirates against Liverpool. That for me, that was our best performance of the season. We come out the blocks fast. You know, we're used to seeing our Liverpool been against with us over the season. You know, what they've done to us, they've literally destroyed us. I mean, we hadn't beat them in 5 games. The last 5 games, we hadn't beaten once. They had won 4, and we drew 1 game against them. And everybody was looking at us that day. And we come out the blocks, and straight away in the first minute, Martinelli's got a goal, and we're 1-up. And everybody's looking at us and go, "Wow, yes, Liverpool came back at us and 1-1. But you know, we went straight up the other end, and Saka got his goal. And again, what's more, you know, Fabinho equalised, but we went again. We went again, and we went in, and in the end, we come away with a 3-2 win. I thought it was a massive performance. I thought it was a statement performance. I thought it was a "hello, we are here" performance. It was against a team that we've had trouble with for years and years and years. We have literally, to be fair, wiped us off the face of the earth every time we've played them. 9 times out of 10 anyway. You know, on the other occasions we've done well. Most of the times we ain't. But on that day we was excellent. I mean, we had 11 shots to their 3. They did have most of the possession in the game. But when they did it, they didn't do nothing with it. We controlled the game completely. And when we scored when it mattered, when we needed to. And I just thought, you know, that for me, that after that game, I can just remember, you know, thinking to myself, yeah, you know, look, you know, what are people going to say now? You know, we're just people's beloved Liverpool. And although the score looks like close, for me, it wasn't close at all. It was like men versus boys. And that's the first time I can say Arsenal men, Liverpool boys for a long time. For me, that was Arsenal's best performance this season.
All right. Jerome, what was Arsenal's best performance for you?
Yeah, I've got to agree with Steve, to be honest. I think the game against Brentford away was probably our most dominant. But when you're considering like the level of opposition and, you know, what you're up against, the fact that like we hadn't scored a goal against Liverpool in God knows how many games, let alone, you know, put 3 past them. So when you're putting performances like that against a team like Liverpool, then you can sort of start to, as the famous saying goes, like, be excited. That for me is the standout. The game against Spurs was obviously very good, but I think that Liverpool game, like, you would have been very disappointed coming away from that, not winning the game, and we haven't been able to say that for years. So yeah, I'd go with that Liverpool one as well.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. Saka and Martinelli were outstanding that day, mate. I don't know if you can remember. They was absolutely outstanding. I mean, that we had Saka, played that ball to Odegaard. He played that through ball to Martinelli, didn't he? And he done that Omri type finish where he opened up his body and he just, he slid it in. And then you had Martinelli sort of return the act, although it was a pass before to Xhaka with that lovely sort of jinking run. He had 3 defenders round him and he crossed it and Xhaka slid in. And then there was the pressure of the penalty, wasn't there? When Xhaka crossed it and Jesus nipped in and, he got the penalty for us. So there was a lot on that.
So Odegaard's little through ball to Saka, Odegaard and Martinelli with a little lovely little weighted through ball from Odegaard, which I'm seeing more of. We're seeing more of from Odegaard as well, which is really good. And in recent weeks, we've seen more goals from him, which is massively important to his game. It's very unsurprising that I have also picked Liverpool 3-2 victory as the best performance of the season. As Steve said, the scoreline was not even close to being that like 3-2. Not even close. Because it was a game where Darwin Núñez played really well in the first half of Liverpool, but Liverpool didn't play well. And in the second half, they had a little bit of a patch, I think it was. But then, no, Arsenal just finished off the game. No, absolutely phenomenal. Another one of them games where before the game people were saying it's another test, let's see where you are after this game. And I'm sure they were saying that Liverpool aren't in great form once we beat them, but we didn't care. Absolutely phenomenal result, victory. And what's important as well is we took, in any other season, this game wouldn't really make too much of a difference with regards to the points we've taken off Liverpool and they can't get off of us. but it's going to make a difference now. It's a 6-pointer, which they never thought they would be having against Arsenal this early in a return to the top. But no, it was a 6-pointer. It's going to be a very important game and very, very important 3 points that we took off of them. 100%. Liverpool is down as the performance of the season so far. So next up, goal of the season. Steve, what has been your goal of the season so far? I looked through every single one of Arsenal's goals today, and there has been some absolutely outrageous goals from Arsenal this season. It's hard to choose. Very hard to choose.
Yeah. Well, I've done the same. And again, repeating what you exactly said, it was got some incredible goals. I didn't realise how many. Just like, just to run off a few of my favourites, the Jesus curler against Leicester. Where he curled it in that one. That was absolute quality. The Saliba one against Bournemouth, I think. Was it Bournemouth? Yeah, where there was that one. There was the Vieira one in the same. No, that was Brentford, wasn't it? The Vieira one where he bended that in
off the post.
Different. Yeah. The Partey Spurs. The 2 goals, funny enough, against Spurs with the Partey and Xhaka were both incredible goals. The Saka against Leeds from the difficult angle, the way he bent that in. There's so many. You pick one up. There's others, obviously, as well that I've written down that could have been it. But I think for me, I'm going to have to go for Thomas Partey's one against Forest. I thought that was. I was just like. He just was like obviously outside the box, and how you side foot a ball and swerve it with a side foot into the top bins from 30 yards out. I was like, when that went in, you get goose pimples, don't you? I got goose pimples. I'm getting goose pimples now just thinking about it. Honestly, look, Goose Pimples just went up, and I was like, "Oh my god, what was that?"
And he's done it twice this season. This is not the same geezer who, when he got to the edge of the box, people were ducking, pigeons were scared. Like Bobby Zamora was about to lose his medal, and out of nowhere, Thomas Partey just rapping in goals, top bins twice. I can't believe it. Unbelievable.
There was the one against Spurs. That was special. That one against Spurs, because it was with Spurs. But I just can't get out my head how you swerve a ball with your side foot and put it into the top bin. And it was just, you could actually see the swell. I remember when he did it, I was watching it, and it was like with Berto Carlo-esque when he took that free kick. He looked like it was going out, and then it came in again. Yeah, for me, there's so many great goals, and it's very difficult to choose. But I'm going for Thomas Partey's one against Forest.
All right, Jerome, what's been your goal of the season so far?
I'll tell you what, if it wasn't chalked off for a foul, Martinelli's at Old Trafford might have been up there.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I think for me, my favourite goal is, I think, Saliba's one at Bournemouth. I think for a centre back to do that, with his left foot, that was like I know obviously it didn't mean much in terms of the game. It wasn't like a tight game, but that was like a goal where you go, wow, sort of thing. Like the Partey against Spurs and the Partey against Forest. Saliba's one was like, oh, that's amazing for a centre back to do that. Like, I don't think Rob Holding could do that. But,
well, he couldn't even just start getting headed goals from Rob Holding.
Yeah, no, that's a bit of a distance. No, that's not nice. But I'm just thinking, you don't really see that centre back doing that with his weak foot. So for me, that was a goal that I really enjoyed. So I'd say that one.
Yeah.
Well,
funny enough, my top three, I had Saliba's goal versus Bournemouth, Partey's goal versus Tottenham, and one was Partey's goal against Nottingham Forest, because
actually did it.
The swerve on that ball, and he's absolutely rattled it, and it is whipped in the top corner. Just two goalkeepers aren't saving that, because they're not going. They think they're looking at it going wide, and then it goes in. No, absolutely outstanding there from Thomas Partey. And I can see him doing it again this season. He could come in with a couple of more important goals this season, which could make our season very interesting. All right. Yeah. So that's all we have for the player of the season so far. Steve picked Martinelli. Jerome, you picked Ben White, aka Ben Hur, and I picked Gabriel Jesus. Best performance of the season so far. Everyone picked Liverpool and for the season. Me and Steve picked Nottingham Forest, Thomas Partey's goal, and Jerome went for William Saliba's goal against Brentford. All right. Can't do an Arsenal show without talking about Bukayo Saka at the World Cup. Steve, 2 goals on his World Cup debut. Saka absolutely outstanding in the game. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, that was the word. That's outstanding. Just two brilliant goals. Took his Arsenal form into the into England, and it was great. I know he was playing a dodgy side in Iran, but look, we've seen what's happened since then, that game.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Look, we see Argentina. It doesn't matter. I don't like we can. They're a decent side. They've got decent side. They've had good games. They beat Uruguay, and they pushed Senegal all the way recently. So if you're not on it on the day, but anyway, look, getting back to Bukayo Saka, just a fantastic performance. Just he's just great for Arsenal fans to see him do so well, and just a constant danger the whole 90 minutes through that game. Lovely first goal. I mean, the way he just caressed that ball, into that top corner again in the top bins. Absolutely beautiful goal. And then the second one, we've used to seeing him do this type of thing at Arsenal all the time, where he picks up that ball on the right hand side, he jinks one way and he jinks the other way, and then he cuts inside and he gets it onto his left foot. and he gets a shot off, and most of the time he scores a goal, and he did that for England. So it's just great for him. It's great for England. It's great for Arsenal because we want him to do well out there. But yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant, Bukayo Saka.
Yeah, no, definitely. Jerome, many of the other fans outside of Arsenal may have thought that Arsenal fans were exaggerating about how good Bukayo Saka is. I think the game the other day shows them what we've been talking about, what we see week in, week out.
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? He can play much better than that as well. That was him at 50%, I think. Like he scored a couple of goals, obviously, and that's gonna sort of steal the show. But yeah, we've seen him play a lot better than that, and that's the exciting thing for England and the fans, and it's nice for other teams to be supporting him as well. And it's weird for us as Arsenal fans because, God, honestly, I can't remember. Maybe going back to Theo Walcott when we actually had someone playing in the England squad, like when Walcott scored that hat trick against Croatia. That's the last time you probably felt a bit proud that you had an Arsenal player doing well in the England squad. So it's a bit of a weird feeling, really, if you know what I mean.
It's been a while. Well, we had the Euros, and Saka was star of the show there, but he's come on leaps and bounds. He's bulking up. He's more direct. Yes, he still has to progress, but I'm with Jerome. I don't think we've not seen the best of Saka. His ceiling's so much higher. I see parts of his game. Yeah, I see parts of his game which I know can improve. Parts of his game which are not even there, which I know he can add to. And it wasn't even that long ago at the start of the season where some Arsenal fans were saying, "Oh, Saka needs to step it up. Saka needs to do this, needs to do that," and it's because our expectations of him are so high because we've seen what he can do. People are saying he needs to. He expecting more from him. It's you're forgetting he's only 21. He's still a pup. Yeah. He's still a pup. And it's exciting to see. It's exciting to see where he goes. It's really exciting to see.
Yeah. I hope you get some rest out there, though. Get some rest, Bukayo. Just get a little bit of rest. Put your feet up, have a spa. But yeah. He's just career's just been non-stop, isn't it, kids? You know what I mean? He's just.
Yeah, no, it adds. Oh, I forgot to do moment of the season in our season review.
Yeah.
How silly of me, Steve. Must have been cursing you out. Mate, what's your moment of the season?
My moment of the season. I mean, it could be. It's not actually football on the pitch related. Funny enough,
that's going to be what I'm thinking of.
Oh, is it? It could be. There's a couple of funny ones in there. One very serious one, and two game related. So I don't know if you want to go first, Jerome. If you want to read them all out.
Steve's going to read them all out.
But yeah, I don't want to miss them out. One was. Look, let's start off with a few obvious ones. We had the Liverpool game, but we've already mentioned. You have to make that as one of the moments of the season. Again, game related. The performance against Chelsea, where I thought we just absolutely dominated and just wiped the floor with them for 90 minutes, and again 1-0. But the difference in quality in that day was incredible. and then you got I quite like Granit Xhaka's interview at the end of the Chelsea game. That was a good moment when the crowd was singing his name. As you said, we've already mentioned about the crowd and how they're getting by the players. I thought he was very emotional there, and he couldn't hold his words back. Oh, Granit! So I enjoyed that. That was a good moment. Shoving Gary Neville's words down his throat. That I enjoyed that. But the moment of the season for me And I didn't know it was going to be my moment of the season until probably the last kick, until the break. And that was when we went 5 points clear at the top of the Premiership.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, when that moment happened, I was like, everybody woke up. And then all the people who has been slagging Arsenal off over the year were like, oh, they're 5 points clear. And I think Jerome said on the last pod, he said, when have you ever got that excited over Man City dropping points? And that was how it felt. Again, it was another goose pimple moment.
Mm-hmm.
So that moment, when that final whistle went and that league table went up and we had got that 5-point gap with Man City with them still to play, just bring us on. Bring them on. Let's go 8 points above them. That was my moment of the season.
Yeah, no, that one's close to that. Right, what you got?
Very good, very good. So yeah, mine's not a typical sort of footballing thing. I don't know if it's going to be the same as yours, Kieran. So Saliba's first game of the Emirates, we play Leicester at home, and he scores an own goal. And my moment of the season is the reaction from the crowd after he scored that own goal. Yeah. That is something that I can't remember ever seeing. I watched it through the TV, and you could feel it through the TV how much the fans were. You know, a player that we've hardly ever seen. He's played one competitive game for us away at Palace. Comes in. There's been a bit of talk about, like you said, Steve, is he going to stay? Is he going to go? What's the relationship like between him and Arsenal and his agents? He comes. He scores an own goal. Normally, fans would be on his back, going crazy, and the whole crowd just starts cheering for him, and that has stayed. I think that sort of set the standard now for how the fans are reacting to this team, and that was my moment of the season so far.
Yeah, great shot.
With Steve on the slightly different timing, I think on the 5 points, it was the Wolves. It was once we got the points against Wolves and we was clear. That was unbelievable. It didn't quite hit me properly when you sent me a message, Steve, saying, "Man, Arsenal top at Christmas." I was like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And I saw they lost, and I was like, "What?" And then I watched the game. I get too excited because I still want that buffer. You still want that buffer. And then when we got that, great. Ben White's awkward stroke to the point interviews. I absolutely, honestly, I'm like, when they put in the player and it's not Ben White, I'm disappointed because there's something about Ben White's interviews that they're not. It's not him being awkward. Yeah, he's just blunt. Yeah, he's just very blunt. Yeah? And he reminds me of some of my mates where they're just to the point. Yeah, where if someone says something and he feels like they're talking rubbish, he's just like, "What are you talking about?" and journalists must be shaking in their boots when they've got Ben White as an interview now because they don't know what he's going to say. They don't know whether he's just going to turn around and basically shove it back down their throats. At that point, where in an interview where they said, "What's the difference between this season and last season?" And he's just like, "It's just different," and that was a goose pimple moment. I was just like, "It's just different." It's like, oh God, what the hell's going on? So yeah, that was one moment. But my moment of the season was from the Bournemouth game after Saliba scored, the whole crowd staying long after, singing the new Saliba song, and then hearing the players turn around and saying that they've been in the dressing room and everyone's singing it, and Saliba's absolutely loving it. And you can imagine, because Saliba supports Arsenal, like you can imagine him coming back to Arsenal after all that he's been through, his mum passing away, the being on loan, feeling like he might have not been able to come back. He comes back and he scored well, and he's got the crowd singing his song. He's got his own teammates singing his song in the dressing room. It must have been an absolutely unbelievable moment. And hopefully he signs a contract because of that. So, that was my moment of the season. Not necessarily in the game football related, but it was a funny moments, good moments to hear. So yeah,
Yeah.
well done for
Brilliant.
reminding me, Jerome. Enjoyed that one. Very good.
Yeah.
One little article that I wanted to bring up. Smith Rowe is come out and stated that he's back on the pitch, and he targets the West Ham game to be back. Good news there, Steve.
Absolutely amazing news. Great Christmas present. I don't know if it was the same interview. I see him giving an interview at the Grand Prix.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be
in
back for
Dubai.
the World Cup. He said, "I'm actually out here in the United Arab Emirates doing rehab. I'll be back tomorrow. Back on the pitch. The stuff is going well. So yeah."
It's just so important. I mean, we was asked about him the other week, and I went away afterwards and just realised how important he is, to our football team. He's got so much ability. He's got so much class. I remember got asked a question on here once. What is. Who's our most important youngster? And I said it was Emil Smith Rowe because I felt he was the only person close to like Mesut Ozil because he was on his way out. So that's how much I sort of thought of him. But it's so important to have him back, and just to come back at the West Ham game, it's just the right time. And look, we're talking about new signings, and he could come back and be like a new signing for us. Because we need someone to play on the right, we need someone to play on the left. I'm pretty sure we'll still get someone, but in that offensive area of the pitch, we could still do with someone else, I feel, and having someone like Smith Rowe, I think he's got forgotten about with all the euphoria, with what's been going on with Arsenal recently. Everyone's getting excited about the players on the pitch and the players that have been coming on. And then you remember, wow, we've got Emil Smith Rowe coming back. And I mean, that is a fantastic thing. And, he's an England international. And, let's hope he comes back. Let's hope he stays fit. If he needs time, keep him on the bench, let him come on for half hours in Europa League or whatever, just to get his fitness back. Let's not get him back to, let's be careful with him. But, yeah, incredible, massively. I can't even, stress how important he is, and just can't wait to see him back on that bench against West Ham.
Definitely, Jerome. Big news hearing Emil Smith Rowe talk positively about his injury and the fact that he's targeting the West Ham game to return.
Yeah, very very excited to see Smith Rowe play, especially with the way the team are playing at the moment. Like he was playing, last season in the team when we were a bit up and down, but I think he's one of these players that I think as the team improve, he'll improve with it. I think he's that sort of player. So yeah, very excited to see him play for a number of reasons, just because he's a great footballer, but also because it means that we can rest one of the other attacking players, keeping everyone fit. The attacking players fit between now and the end of the season is massively important. Like we've been relying on Saka and Martinelli really up until now. So it's been brilliant that they've stayed fit. But yeah, to add Smith Rowe's quality will be excellent. And no doubt if he plays, he'll chip in with some goals, won't he? Like he's a goal scorer, Smith Rowe.
Yeah, and what was he? A joint top goal scorer last season. So we've missed that. We've missed his goals. Like you said, he's massively important.
Yeah. And how far would his levels go up now, Keir? Do you know what I mean? We've seen Martinelli's levels go up. They was all in the same thing, wasn't they? We had Smith Rowe, we had Saka, we had Martinelli. We all had Nelson. We've all seen these players improve. Some bigger than others, obviously. So now we're bringing Emil Smith Rowe into this team. Before, like Jerome just said, he was sort of the best of in a poor side or a side. Now he's coming into a side that, do you know what I mean, who are nearly there, are sitting top of the league or are on fire. I mean, it's just exciting for me to see now how many levels he can go up, because if he can go up another 1 or 2 levels, just like
like Martinelli is saying. The thing is, Emil Smith-Rowe scored 10 goals last season, got 2 assists in 33 games. That's massive. That's massive. That those could be some important goals towards the end of the season. 10, just saying, he scored 10 goals and got 2 assists in 33 games last season. So it's massively important. And as you were saying before, how far can his rise go? Because he was with the likes of Martinelli and Saka last season. So there's no reason why he can't come back and do the same thing. And if you listen to some of the testimonies from some of the players in the side, where they've been asked who's the most skillful player, who's the most talented player, they say Emil Smith-Rowe. They say Emil Smith-Rowe. They said some of the things he does on the ball, you just don't see players do. So he's got a lot of talent there, and he's in a good side, surrounded by good people. He's got a top coach with him. He's 100% going to make him a better player. So, what's his name? Went on the plane. Chelsea man, ex-Charlton man. You know, the one I always rate.
Gallagher
on the plane.
Conor Gallagher,
if Smith-Rowe was fit,
it'd
be interesting to see whether it would have been Smith-Rowe got on that plane, because he was, before he got injured, he was the one that was being called up by England. So I think he's unlucky not to be on that.
Can I ask you a question, mate? Do you think like Emil Smith-Rowe could be that? We're looking for a player. We're looking for a left-sided right. Could he be that player?
Well,
could he be that player to give Saka and Martinelli a rest? I'm sitting here now and I'm thinking, you know, even sort of listening to my own words when I'm saying that, what level now can he go to? When we think about where he was, and we're looking for, you know, we was talking last week about him can play on the right or he could play on the left. And there's this thing at the minute where we're talking about bringing a right and a left player in, playing 70, 80 million pound. Could it be an entitled mind that Smith-Rowe's that guy? Or is he looking at him in another area?
70 million pounds. I'm not into paying 70 million pounds. I don't think we need to. I just don't think we need to. Do we need to go down a Pepe route, or are there players out there that we can buy early, decent money, and we've got like who is out there that's 70 million pounds that you can say is coming in and hitting the ground running? Man City could have spent 70 million pounds on Haaland, knowing full well that kid is one of the best in the world. There ain't no one out there right now that's 70 million that I can go, do you know what? He's one of the best in the world right now, and he's been proven.
Yeah, I mean, Man United paid 90 for Anthony, and for me, he's not. He's 40 for me. 40, 30.
Thank you. And I don't want to go down that route again. We're paying over the odds because they're the exciting, the hot property at the moment, and the club's trying to get as much money as possible. I don't want to go down that route because we don't need to. We've seen we don't need to. Martin Odegaard cost us 35 mil. He's now worth 65 mil, and that's on transfer market. Jesus cost us 50 mil. He's now worth 75 mil. Granit Xhaka, they were talking about trying to buy him for 12 mil. You're not getting him for 30 mil. Like Martinelli, 70, 80 mil. Saka, 80, 90 mil. Like we don't need to spend these 70, 80 million on players. Go and make stars like we used to. We're doing it again now. There's no reason why we shouldn't be doing that again. You don't need to go and spend silly money. Look, I keep hearing how Pepe's doing well at Nice and blah, blah, blah. All right, cool. He's got 6 goals. He's got 6 goals in the French league. Look, we ain't getting no money back for him. 20 mil max. Like, I just don't want to go down that route, and I don't think we should. And I think there's enough players out there for us to do some serious due diligence and find another gem.
Because we know what we've got as well. What we've got as well, I feel, Kit, we've got that carrot. Do you want to come to us in January for 30 million, 35, to a team who's sitting at the top of the Prem, who's going into a title challenge? And probably, hopefully, at the end of the season, going to be playing in the Champions League. Do you want to come in January for 25, 30 mil? Or do you want to go to your agent and try and get 70 mil and we'll go and tell you to go and do one? We've got that carrot now. Don't you think,
Yeah.
John?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to use it. We need to use it. And in the summer, if that's a whole other pod, but in the summer, if we can finish off this season well, we need to make sure that we're competing for some of the best players out there. The other side. Look, I'm not saying we need to be going to spend 100 mil and stuff like that, but we need to be asking the question of these players. Asking the question: would you be interested in coming to Arsenal? Those are the questions we need to be asking of all the top players out there. Because we're on the up, and other teams will see that. It's no surprise that for the past few seasons, Liverpool are trying to sniffing around Saliba, Saka, Martinelli. There's no surprise at all there, because their players are on a downward spiral, and ours are on an upward trajectory. And they've seen that, and they're like, let's try and take some players off Arsenal.
No, not anymore.
No, not at all. So Arsenal done well to hold on to what they've got, and exciting times. All right, that is all we have time for. Unless Steve, you've got any updates, any transfer updates quickly before we go?
No, not really, mate. It's just really the same as last week. I mean, everybody I'm talking to sodded off to Doha. So where are you? You know, I'm in Doha. I'm watching the world. Yeah, all right. What are you doing? I'm in here pissing down with rain. That's where I am. We've got to sending pictures on WhatsApp. Yeah, look, there's the stadium. Oh yeah, thanks for that. I've got to send a picture of my garden with pissing down. Yeah, there's my garden. Look, soaking wet. All the umbrellas falling over.
Sweet home. Mate, you never know. They could be in one of them £175 a night tents, which is miles away from the stadium. So
yeah,
it's not all luxury and glamour out there. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That is all we have time for. Thank you very much for joining us. If you are regular to the show, press that like and subscribe. If you are new to the show, press that subscribe button. I know most of the people have been watching the football. It ended 4-1 to France against Australia. But now the football's finished. Now come and enjoy the show. All right. Yeah. Thanks for joining us tonight, Jerome.
Yeah, of course. Pleasure. Cheers.
And of course, thanks for joining us tonight, Steve.
Yeah, thanks. It's been emotional at times tonight. Goose pimples and everything.
Quick rundown what we were speaking about. It was player of the season so far with Steve Martinelli as player of the season so far. I had Gabriel Jesus and Jerome had Ben White. Performance of the season so far, we all picked the Liverpool game. Goal of the season, Saliba's goal. I picked me and Steve picked Thomas Partey's goal against Nottingham Forest, absolute worldies. A moment of the season, mine was everyone singing the Saliba song in the dressing room and on the pitch after the Bournemouth game, Brentford game. Sorry, Steve's was the Man City dropping points, so we can guarantee 5 points clear at Christmas. And Jerome's, what was yours, Jerome?
The reaction of the fans to Saliba's own goal.
Yes. Oh, yes. Great one. The reaction of the fans to Saliba's own goal, which we still cannot believe has happened. Cheering. Bigging the team up. I can't believe it. Stunned. Absolutely, hands down. Yeah, I think that probably wins, to be fair. Great moment that was.
Yeah, I agree.
It showed where we are as a fan base now. So you can add that, Jerome. Peace out, people. Stay safe. Hold on. Wash your hands.